Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I please request everybody to kindly gather as the session is about to get started. Good morning and welcome back to the day 3 of the India Space Congress 2026. Before we begin, I request everyone to kindly switch their mobile phones to silent mode and avoid taking calls during the session. If you require any assistance, our SIA-INDIA volunteers are available around the hall and will be happy to help. Thank you. Let us now get started with our first session of the day. EU business models, data to recurring revenue. Earth observation has evolved far beyond simply providing data. Today, the real opportunity lies in building scalable business models that generate recurring revenue through practical applications and commercial solutions. This session will explore who is purchasing EO services today, which business models are succeeding, how companies can move beyond pilot projects, and what India must do to build globally competitive Earth observation business across government, enterprise, and international markets. To chair and moderate this important discussion, it's my privilege to invite on stage Dr. V.S. Hegde, former scientific secretary, ISRO and CMD, Antrix Corporation. I please welcome you to the stage, sir. It's an honor to have you with us today. We also warmly welcome our distinguished panelist, Ms. Preeti Chaudhary, founder, HG Systems, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Rohit Malhotra, founder and CEO, Spatial Logics, Mr. Anand Prakash Arya, co-founder and CEO, AgBoost Tech Consultancy, Mr. Pranav Kumar, Vice President, Enterprise Sales, Suhora, Mr. Amit Seymour, Director, Satpalda. I request everybody to kindly come on stage. It's an honor to have you with us today. Please put a huge round of applause for our chair and moderator and our esteemed panelists, everybody. I now hand over the stage to our esteemed panelist and chair and moderator for the session. Thank you.
Good morning, distinguished participants and the most distinguished panelists I have with me. Basically, this session was to be chaired, moderated by Lieutenant General Chandel, who is with the geospatial world. But I heard that last evening he got a bit indisposed and he couldn't make it. So I am a last-minute entrant to be among my distinguished colleagues on the dais. So the topic is absolutely contemporary and futuristic. That is how to make Earth observation business into a recurring income generating and most useful activity for a variety of developmental strategic activities in the country. So I have with me Ms. Preeti Chaudhary. She's founder of HG Systems. Lieutenant Colonel Rohit Malhotra, founder and CEO of Spatial Logics. Mr. Anand Prakash Arya, co-founder and CEO of AgBoost Tech Consultancy. And Pranav Kumar, enterprise sales leader of Suhora. Of course, our Maldives friend hasn't been able to join us. So session is about 45 minutes. So I will not speak much. The four distinguished panelists will speak because they are absolutely hands-on and deep into the contemporary technology for integrating data, converting that into a variety of business models to be useful to several sectors, development sectors in the country, and also to be useful to their own companies themselves in generating economy. So, we are all aware that the EO business has not remained the way it was when I was into EO. You know, get images from satellites, either from Landsat or Indian remote sensing satellites. You know, most of the times put a tracing sheet on the image and try to cull out what we want to extract out of that. Make maps, maybe sometimes digitize maps and put it into GIS or geospatial data core, and at times, okay, integrate a few layers either manually or using computer. And that's the way I was into the core or thick of EO activity in India. For long years, I was with ISRO for 45 years, and by training, I'm a geologist. So we were into more of, this kind of activity. But slowly things changed that we got a deck 10 system in all our regional centers, NRSA, everywhere, a huge computer room. And any of us wants to go and book the computer for mostly supervised, unsupervised classification using imagery of one date or one resolution. We have to book the computer. They say, no, so-and-so has booked it next week. You won't get. You will get after 10 days, 15 days. The days are gone now because people are so comfortable to do complex tasks with the laptops. And as we started receiving multi-resolution, multimodal, different types of Earth observation data from different satellites from different part of the world, and today's computing power, today's artificial intelligence, today, the large language models or whatever, and very specifically curated or modified software tools which our youngsters are able to generate or put in place is giving us opportunity to look at, the earth, environment, society, climate, many episodal events, so many things together from various sensors, and touch a few keys, and within few minutes of receiving the data, today it's possible to generate the kind of information you require for a region or you require for some very specific application. That is the power today. So I have shared a few points of my thoughts with the panelists. I will not read them because anyway, whatever is most contemporary, based on their expertise, their hands-on, they will talk about it. But, the core technology trends today is geospatial and AI and foundation models, multi-sensor data fusion, edge computing in space itself, so that lot of junk or lot of noise or lot of unwanted data you can leave behind up, which will be junked in space, so that on the ground when you get the data, your data handling becomes simpler. So lot of research, a lot of development are ongoing. I must say that in the whole scenario of reforms, 2023 when they introduced reform, so many new companies, startups came in. Of course, in the geospatial sectors, even geospatial world is there. It was called GIS development when it started by Mr. MP Narayanan. So we were interacting from those days onwards. And otherwise, geospatial area has done far better than we did for building and launching satellites, to be honest, okay? I hope no ISRO fellow around will curse me for this because I am a core ISRO. So, so today's the startups or the new companies who are into this business have just caught up with those elsewhere in the world or a shade better than them. So I will now, with these few words from me, which I don't want to keep yakking, Lots of things like, the high cost for analysis which we went through is reduced. Data standardization has become simpler. And it's so many things will be covered, and it's not possible to cover this end to that end of the topic. So, customarily, ladies first. So we have co-panelist lady Priya Chaudhary ji. I request Priya to please, make your remarks in about 8 minutes or so, because about last 10 minutes we will leave for the audience, and I will not interfere much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning, everyone. So I'm Preeti Chaudhary. I'm founder of Harvest Global Systems. At Harvest Global Systems, we are building unified AI stack for Earth intelligence, which is basically amalgamation or integration of large-scale AI models for Earth intelligence and downstream industries. Specifically, the use cases that we have is digital agriculture, forestry, disaster management, etc. And underlying AI private cloud, basically high powered compute, I would say cluster of not just hyperscalers, but cluster of sovereign GPUs that processes your data on the go. So, when we entered into the segment, the segment was largely dominated by tool-led industry, ESRI, and Google Earth definitely sort of, changed the paradigm in terms of how do we process our satellite imagery. Latency was to an extent cut down. But with typical tool mechanism, there's a lot of latency, and there's hardly any predictive analytics that as a country we could develop. And sir, sort of mentioned about conventionally when we started off versus where are we right now. So there has a lot of collapse happened in terms of, a lot of compression has happened in terms of, basically the time we used to take, to process our satellite imagery for any industry specific insights or decision making. So that collapse or that disruption has happened just because of the technology. And I come from IBM again, wherein I was into enterprise applications development. And the big change that I saw, in India, specifically as a startup founder, majority of our startups, run their softwares or their solutions on public cloud, which is the scalability, somehow that restricts the scalability. And that may be perhaps the reason that many of the startups are not able to really scale the way we want to when we enter the segment, because unless you have an integrated solution which you can scale when the requirement comes, and when the questions around sovereignty or data security or even the solution security, comes, the disruption or the scale doesn't come. So that is where I believe what really matters and what is really important is, the focus on building integrated solutions with sovereignty in mind. And definitely a focus on building predictive analytics, which we are lacking big times in our Earth observation. For example, when I started off in the segment, and there were gamut of tools that the industry was using, be it ARC, be it ESRI, or a couple of other softwares, which the many softwares in the market. And moreover, the Google Earth was big time entering into the segment, specifically giving that freedom of processing your satellite, your imagery on the go, and moreover accessing satellite imagery from across the missions and the satellite players. So therein we got so used to of using that, but when it comes to the efficacy or the relevance of those solutions in our own industries, industry, for example, I'll use the use cases insurance, agri-insurance industry or agri-stack. People require very plot level intelligence. The plot level intelligence, the data is not publicly available. So there is absolutely no way out that the Google Earth would really integrate our land records with their platform. So that is where we had to really, take a pause and redo this bit of a re-engineering, that if we as a startup need to really launch or take a solution to a scale wherein the solution can be rolled out at a state or at a financial institution scale, wherein we really needed to build that strength into the software that can process not just large scale data, but also which is, which addresses the challenges of sovereignty and security, which are of prime importance by the government and definitely by the financial institutions. So definitely we have a use cases and we are far ahead from the times wherein We used to have dependence on the typical software tools to process our data, but there is a lot more to do. What we are doing at HG Systems, we are building our own AI private cloud that basically cuts down your dependence onto any third-party cloud services. The private cloud is built with the functionalities of you can bring your own AI models and you can start developing your foundational tools onto our either platform, or you can also leverage our own geo-foundational models. When we say geo-foundational model is again is as I would say as a large scale model as others are, like your OpenAI and ChatGPT and Antrix and Claude, etc. So that is why for geo-foundational, the efficacy of those again open source models isn't very relevant or reliable in terms of processing geospatial data sets. So that is where there is a requirement of absolutely new category of large scale AI models that can really understand the nuances of the geo-int or that we call geo specific data sets. So that is where we're building that unified platform. If you want to build and then are starting up, or if you're in industry looking for real-time monitoring of your assets, earth assets, if you're looking for earth intelligence real-time at a scale, if you're a bank, if you're a state government or global research organizations, we do that for you. And data localization, we have a very global solutions. Our teams are located across the globe. If you're looking for a solution to be deployed in any of your own geographies, right now we, the focus is to operate in South Asia, specifically the countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, etc. And agrarian economies, because AgriStack is somewhere we've built a very fantabulous tools that helps you monitor your plot level crop in terms of yield and health monitoring, and definitely the climate impact. So the way weather is going, we really need a solution that can address or that can really help us understand the weather trajectory or the weather nature. So that, and also the impact of weather on other downstream industries, be it forestry or be it agriculture or other earth, assets. So yeah, I mean, this is a brief from me, sir. And I think definitely you said it right. We set the tone by using, the conventional tools. But the shift that is happening with AI and indigenous cloud and high compute systems is definitely is catching up, and it is the new trend, is a new wave that we need to really stay abreast with. Thanks.
Thank you, Preeti ji. And and I am sorry that I missed out mentioning about our distinguished co-panelist, Amit Seymour, Director of Satpalda. So I think to compensate for the miss that I did, I will request him to make his points now in about 6-7 minutes. See, I mean, basically sticking to the theme, how are we able to convert the whole EO business into a recurring revenue generating activity? I mean, if it's possible, kindly touch upon that also. We'll see. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hegde, and good morning to everyone. So my name is Amit Seymour, and I represent an organization called Satpalda. We a more than 20-year-old organization. We have been in the geospatial domain. We sell satellite imagery and derived insights. And to touch upon what you mentioned, today the Earth observation industry is has taken a 360-degree, I would say, paradigm shift, because we, from where we are coming to where we are standing today, availability of data today is in abundance. We come from a time where, the industry was at a very nascent stage. There were limited satellites. Data was available 5 to 10 days with a 5 to 10 day gap. Today, we are talking about a constellation approach. There is revisit every day. Consumers today are more and more industries and use cases are coming out where people are looking at use cases which were never even thought of, I'd say a decade ago. Solar, agriculture, where we were looking at Sentinel on a macro level, but today insurance claims medium to high resolution data is being used. Defense and intelligence, again, a very big user. We've seen, how availability of data and sovereignty plays a very critical role. The Middle East conflict in question. I would say also the market has now moved from pixel selling to more of insights. Customers today are increasingly looking at the outcomes rather than the processing and consumption of data. So, they're looking at addressing very unique use cases like, for example, estimation of material moving in and out of ports. Solar companies are looking at rooftop analytics. Again, these are insights which are derived from satellite image products. There is a very increasing use case today in disaster because with global warming and particularly in the Indian context, we see that we are surrounded by multiple factors such as, of course, we have a very large coastline of more than 7,000 kilometers. The Himalayas are very seismically active. India has a very large concentration of glacial lakes. Monitoring is very critical for these lakes because we have seen over the last few years the incidence of disasters are increasing year on year, where we are having GLOF events. Glacial lakes are not stable. They need to be monitored because these have a direct impact downstream on powerhouses which have gotten washed away. There has been loss to human life, property. So if we look at it, the use cases of data is increasing day by day. And I would say that there is a democratization happening of data today because with the large scale availability, how data is being served, insights are being consumed by customers is also changing. Previously, we used to see that you would have to write to the operator, please provide me this image. Today, there are self-service platforms which are available pretty much from most constellation operators, wherein the user can it's a pay-as-you-go kind of or a prepaid model where you log on yourself, you order imagery, task imagery, run the analytic tools, gain the insights, and use it in your environment. So essentially, yes, of course, the change is happening, and I see the future. What is going to happen also is that with the large-scale availability of data, there's also going to be more and more onboard data computing, which will again reduce the time between capture and consumption. And already we are seeing that change happening. And I believe as we move forward, multiple sensor technologies and availability of insights is going to be increasing. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit ji. So may I request Anand to make his remarks, please.
Hello. Good morning, all of you. Hello, good morning, all of you. And first of all, I thank you, sir, for his work with ISRO 45 years. When he talked about the traditional process, then I recall 1997, why I started my journey in the GIS and remote sensing. At that time, we used to, the device is called a PROCOM, that you could track and analyze the screen and digitize. So, as an industrial professional, my 2 decades of experience with the utilities and energy sector, and to think about the EO requirement in the futures, I think that we should be thinking in such a way, user as a services or solutions. We know that remote sensing is and GIS is not a new technology. It is already working. Okay, so on the government sides and on the bureaucrats upper level side. And 2020, I think, Wise tried to fill this gap with the users. If I try to put this EO inside to the user hand on the daily basis, whether it is transportation, whether it is walking, whether it is agriculture, whatever things. It has a very lot of applications, whether you go for defense. Then I start my firm is AgBoost Consultancy, where we provide the insight to the business users, insight to the users, how this can be applicable to you, rather than to sell the product, rather than to sell the imaginary. Then, as you know that AI is also coming, machine learning also coming, LM models also coming. A lot of changes are happening, which I worked when 20 years back, it take me 10 days, 15 days to do all this. And now it is just within a second, within a half an hour, I can analyze all these things with a different software, or you can build your own models. Okay. Then the challenges are coming, as I said, Preeti ma'am and our colleagues also. A disaster, one of the biggest challenges which is happening due to the climatic condition. So should we develop a predictive model in such a way, the movement of the earth, the movement of the soils can be captured so that disaster can predict and save the human life. So here I think that NISAR is the one technology which is image is going on, but its revisit path, it is 12 days. If you put the movement of the soil, movement of the earth, then definitely we can think on the landslide side, predictive model. Now, with my expertise on the utility sector, power distribution, energy sector, when I worked 2 decades with them, and in initial phase I think that how it is benefit to the utilities. Now when we integrated with their re-engineering their business process, whatever the business process, because whenever you are doing any technology, it should be a business oriented and it should be beneficial to them, not for industry, it's also for the user. Okay, so initial when the utility take a new connection, and it will take at least 1 month and 2 months, right? If any new connection is happening, then we did with the remote sensing, with the land-based, with the vector data, all these things, and integrated with their billing system, with their meter data, with their consumer data. And we intervene as a GIS at the remote sensing part in the systems. In their workflow, I will speak in their workflow. Now they get any connection within a 10 days, and their operational are very efficiently happening. If you go ask the torrent power, if you ask for the NFL, their operational efficiency. So this is the use cases. Even agriculture is one of the biggest challenge to us. I know disaster is happening, weather climate is happening, but nobody can control it. But here financial losses is very happening, very large way. Not on the go, but it's a burden on the government, it's a burden on us also. So this is my insight, and we are providing solution for energy, providing some ag tech, and providing for the biofuel also. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Now I will request Pranav to make his remarks.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I had an opportunity to take his autograph, and fortunately, today I am getting, photograph. So, yeah, with last 2 decades of experience in geospatial industry, as sir rightly said, that we have evolved. And when we say we have evolved and we have reached to the last mile, that is when the user is actually using the data. At Suhora, we are Indian space analytics provider. We have got 250 sensors with which we can monitor entire Earth daily basis. For some patches, we can do it on hourly basis. To maintain the sovereignty and the control, we have got bands of satellite images. Now, the application ranges from national security intelligence, both terrestrial, maritime, where you can track any shipment or any vessel. You can also do your terrain situational analysis. Moving from there to disaster management, there was a myth earlier that if you have got high resolution satellite data, the problem statement can be solved. So it is now people are aware that you need to have a mix of satellite images. Some needs to be, some can be solved with the help of SAR, some where you would be needing thermal, and so on and so forth. Moving from disaster, the country has evolved to micro use cases with which actually government are making recurring business. So maybe a decade back, sir, MCD, they started collecting taxes with the help of remote sensing data, and believe it was 2 times of the revenue which got collected. So authorities are aware that with using geospatial remote sensing technology, they can earn money. One use case in Delhi is it is a plan dig monitor application, with which what they are doing, they have mandated the subcontractor of PWD, or for that matter Delhi Jal Board, MTNL, and like this organization who do construction, that whenever you are digging, you have to plan it. The moment you will plan it, entire information, where is your pipeline, where is your microfiber, optical fiber, all these things, where it is situated, you will get to know. Once you get to know all these things, you will be able to plan and communicate to those agencies as well, so that they can collaborate and they can at the same cost they can do that digging and plan their establishment. Once it is done, they have to make sure that they are updating the data set, that the dig has been done completely, filled completely. So like this, there are plenty of application across government organization, and here I can see many companies who are manufacturing satellites. I would say at Suhora we would love to partner with all of you, because we have got deep understanding of the market, and that's how 250 sensors are onboarded with us, and with which we can take you to the customer, not only your data, but amalgamation of multiple data sets combining together can solve a problem statement, and ultimately it will result into recurring business model. And that's how the cost optimization would also come into picture. As Amit, Preeti, they have already highlighted that usage are humongous. I can see 6, 7, 8 years back, the market size specifically to India, it was 1,500 CR of market. But now, it has changed. It has got so, in 2012, unauthorized colony boundary in Delhi, the only basis was to settle people in Delhi in UC colonies was satellite image, and with which they are now providing all the services. Now you see requirement coming from government agencies everywhere bulldozer chalega, and the basis of which is remote sensing again. So right from construction to demolition, remote sensing is there in place, and we have got answers to those question statements. With this, I would thank.
Great. So, how much time we have? 3-4 minutes? Okay. In that case, I'm really sorry. I request the audience to interact with our distinguished panelists during lunchtime. I mean, I hope they don't mind. And now, no. It has been extremely insightful. Basically, they are the hands-on experts who are living through Earth observation business. They have chosen to live through Earth observation business with their money, with their effort, not like me, getting government salary and charging the customer for the data, for the analysis, for the field work, for the collateral data, everything we were loading during my time on the user ministry or any other user. See, basically, to sum up as relevant to the theme, which are the core trends today driving the business shift? It is the raw satellite data and cloud platform or data fusion techniques, AI, automation, or further analytics which experts like them would have developed, and providing insights as a service. See, today if a user wants a particular information, he doesn't pay for data as we used to do during my time. He just pays only for the service, only for the insights, He is not bothered. I mean, something you go to a hotel, you don't pay what effort the farmer has put, what effort the truck fellow has put to bring vegetable from a particular place to a hotel. No, you pay for the food. So he gets what he orders for. So this has happened because democratization of data, access to data through the marketplaces, okay? And AI-powered automation and analytics, and which is growing at the rate of nearly 10% CAGR. And the Earth observation business today is on the verge of hitting 15.5 billion globally, just imagine. And the multi-sensor data fusion he talked about, and whether it is synthetic aperture radar, optical, thermal, data from aerial platform, data from drones, data from ground, and collateral data. And the digitalization that has happened in India in the last 1.5 decades is also greatly coming to their help. And I'm sure they're all in the easily accessible format, or they make it accessible. And this whole thing is triggered from the space point of view by the low Earth and very low Earth orbiting satellite constellations carrying a variety of sensors and giving us almost real-time observation tools. At least the Earth is covered daily. Every inch of the Earth is covered daily, at least 2 to 3 times by orbiting satellites today. Then, what are the very prominent recurring business models? That is, one thing is insights as a service. So our distinguished panelists and their companies provide the insights. What goes behind at their end on their computer. You will be told broadly how this insightful input to you is given or made available to you. They will tell you, but you don't have to worry much about it. The user can today go for a subscription-based monitoring platform or monitoring model. You can give them, yearly 4 times you give me this information, which I will use for my insurance purpose, my alert purpose, my planning purpose, whatever. The user can be a subscriber of services with them at the given interval, a given type of data. Then make use of the sovereign infrastructure as a service. Okay, means today Pranav, Preeti ji, Anand, Amit, they may be having their own infrastructure as several satellites, several data sources, whatever, and you strike a deal with somebody. So their sovereign infrastructure of analytics and their core competence will give you only an insightful information, because the theme of the session being how to convert the whole activity into a recurring revenue generating business model. I'm trying to summarize. Of course, a lot of information is available in the public domain also, and these are not my hands-on experiences, aggregated experiences listening to experts like the ones whom I have on the left, right, and in the audience. So I think with these few words, extremely good things are happening, and the users who, of course, in my case, when we say an Earth observation-based input, 80-90% was EO data. Satellite, this image, that image, we used to talk a lot. And today, that has all come down because the further data fusion is possible and everything is getting its right place. So, I think with these words, thank you very much. At least for me, it was highly educative. And yes, I mean, to be fair, with permission from organizers, we will have 4 single line inputs, comments. Don't ask questions, just one line comment so that it goes into the proceedings which they will make and which will be aggregated, yeah. From audience, yeah. From audience, we will take 4 comments. You can target 1 each or whatever. One line comment, eh?
Myself. Hello. Myself Jigish Patel, ex-scientist ISRO. I started from Apple 1 to Aditya 1. I participate in all the mission. My question to panel is, there are 3 types of basic data you are getting: IRS, active remote sensing, RI set, and third one is the EO module. So someone is talked about the collision of all 3 data and make a real information. So how do you suggest that we can we improve our satellite instruments for that, for the better service?
No. 3 types of data is too simple for the topic that we discussed. We are talking of fusion of data from multiple sources. Even ground, even aerial, even from drones, and even from other collateral and metadata, and several other things, historic, whatever, that there could be data on, say, blockchain model. So many things will come in. So I think it is much more than that. But we will take, your hands-on experience that you shared, we will take it as an input. We will record it, yeah.
If I could add, with respect, we do a lot of AI and simulations that we call. I'm sure at ISRO you must be doing simulation. Definitely there is a lot that can be done with AI, and we've had that experience of automating data pipelines and seeing the simulation, how will, maybe the fusion go parametric wise. So definitely would love to connect. If we could do a use case with you, that would be so awesome. If you have a data historical, I'm sure you must be having, and we will give you insights if what improvements could be done, and the pattern based analysis we'll do, and also the predictive analytics around, maybe either in the instrumentation side, or let's say if you change the components, the behavior or the outcome that you could see with using the fast-paced analytics tools or AI latest that we can say. Yeah.
मैं एक जरा सा वर्ड बोलना चाहता हूँ अगर आप
1 word, yeah, please, yeah.
थोड़ा एक शायरी है और लिखा है कि हम जो बात कर रहे हैं अंतरिक्ष से धरती तक और डेटा से विकास तक, यही है भारत की अगली उड़ान। तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि हमें कहाँ जाना है, क्या करना है। चाहे हम फ्यूज़न करें, चाहे हम एलएल करें, चाहे एआई करें, बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं। और यूज़र को जब तक फ़ायदा नहीं होगा तब तक ये सिस्टम नहीं चलेगा। राइट, थैंक यू।
Thank you. I think the organizers are really staring at me. Seek your excuse, but feel free to interact with me or any one of these during lunchtime or off this hall. Thank you very much. At least I got quite a bit educated. Thank you so much.
warm thank you to our distinguished chair and esteemed panelists for an insightful discussion on building sustainable and globally competitive Earth observation businesses. May I now request all the dignitaries to come forward for a group photograph. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for our esteemed panelists and our chair and moderator for the session. We are really honored to have you with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to move to our next session, Unlocking Venture Capital for the Space Economy, Investment, Scale and Market Readiness. As India's space sector continues to expand, access to capital and investment readiness will play a defining role in shaping future growth. This session will examine how investors are evaluating space businesses across upstream and downstream segments, what makes space ventures bankable, and how financing models are evolving beyond traditional venture capital. The discussion will also explore regulatory clarity, demand visibility, and pathways to unlock institutional and global capital for sustained growth. To chair this important discussion, it's my privilege to invite AVM Dhananjay Khod, retired Director, Strategy and Policy in Space. We also welcome our moderator for the session, Mr. Shri Ramanand Sayanam, Partner, Technology and Transformation, Deloitte, India. We heartily welcome our distinguished speakers and panelists for the session.
पोडियम उतारना पड़ेगा